Welcome to Hyakkaou Private Academy. It's a nice little Bill Gates school. Basically, this school houses only the rich and powerful. This nerdlinger right here is Natobi Q, a journalist, basically introducing the catch of this school. It's gambling addiction. The only thing that solely matters in this school is how good of a hustler you're at gambling. The rich rule, the poor drool. They're basically legal slaves, or known as livestock. The boys are dogs and the girls are cats. Each livestock has no human rights. Livestock can actually get their rights back by gambling. Let's go back to 6 months ago. Some students are gambling against the president, Mamabami Karari. They're playing a little game, and the secretary, Igarashi Sayaka over there, says they'll earn 50 million yen if they beat the president. Igarashi then tells the stakes. If they lose, from 18 to 75 years old, their lives are already planned out. Karari girl boss is over there and the game starts. The most prominent of the bunch, Jueri Arukibi, sets her eyes on the prize. After a while, Arukibi gets some points in. But then Karari goes on to stomp him as the dealer, and then the tension rises. Arukibi proceeds to pog and she screams her lungs out. Karari's truly ruthless. That lovely lady walking down the aisle there is Jabami Yameko. She's our main squeeze, and this little brat stealing my job is Tomu Inuhachi, an OC donut steal. Mary and Yumeko are gaze-locked for their gambling game. Their match begins, and it's an intense match of paper sumo? Well, Yumeko wins. The dude who opened the windows is Suzui Ryota. He's just unbearable. Here's the intense part. Mary bet 30 million yen on this game. Oh man, that's not how you play poker. Of course, the student council gets wind of this, and the girl playing with the cuckold console is Yamazuki Runa, and she thinks it was the white group. Then they call in that nerd from before. Going to the cafe, we see some boys having a casino royale with another boy while the gang eat their lunch. Then some prunes come into the cafeteria. Their leader steps forward, and they're known as just simply the Village. Biohazard Village approaches the bullies and asks them to piss off. Sid from Toy Story then tells them that they can do whatever they want. The Village leader proclaims that they don't believe in the student council's gambling laws. Then Sid throws a hook, but one of the villagers protects their leader. The gang then gets creeped out by this and flees, making everyone, and especially Suzui, clap like a SeaWorld seal. Mary suddenly pisses off while the village leader approaches Yumeko. So the leader wants Yumeko to visit the village, and Suzui accepts while Yumeko declines. Back at the student council office, the journalist explains what the village is. Basically, a place for hobo students who won't follow the school's gambling rules. He says the most prominent figure is Arukibi Jueri, the girl who lost to Karari half a year ago, while the actual leader is someone named Murasami Amani. Sayaka then forces the journalist to leave. Then all the insane members of the student council agree to dismantle the village. The next day, Suzui catches the journalist giving some info to Yumeko. She then suddenly asks for them to go to the village, as she changed her mind that fast. Outside the school, Mary gets kidnapped in some burlap sack. After that embarrassing spectacle, Inuhachi introduces herself and her squad to Mary. She basically wants Mary to join in on their revolution against the student council, but Mary sniffs them out as the people who destroyed the casino. Meanwhile, Yumeko and Suzui get a tour of the village from Arukibi. She says that in the village, they live normal student lives. Here comes Jun Kiwatari, the resident assailant. Kiwatari came to give flowers, and they enter a meeting hall, and some priest-looking man comes down the stairs. Thanks to the flying letters all over the screen, I guess he's Murasami Amani. The rest of his Jonestown followers try to greet him, but he refuses. Both him and Arukibi spew some sentimental BS about anti-gambling and whatnot. Meanwhile, Yumeko says there's no good desserts in the cafeteria. Murasami actually agrees, up until Yumeko says she wants to gamble against the student council. Then Yumeko suddenly says that she wants to gamble against Murasami, which he refuses. Yumeko then says his secret, which is that he beat the student council once in gambling. Yumeko hopes and ensures that they will meet again. Sayaka then announces the student representative nomination election. Everyone tunes and Kirari says all the students must gamble, and that the chosen representatives will be given 300 million yen. In addition to that, they'll make the life sheets blank, meaning the winner will be able to put anything into it. The announcement then says that there's going to be 2 slots for the student representatives, and that gambling will be used. Everyone else gambles their votes. Each student will be loaned 10 million yen as a voting fund, as long as they give it back without interest after the election. Anyone who doesn't vote basically gets kicked out of school. Suzui and the villagers are in shock, so he heads out to look for Yumeko. Everyone suddenly flocks at the girl while Itsuki distracts him away by throwing money. Itsuki wants to partner up with Yumeko, but she has other plans, so she bids farewell. Mary then teams up with the squatters, but at her surprise she learns that they're actually with the village. Suzui suddenly bursts in looking for Yumeko, but just finds Mary, telling him to shut up. Thanks, Mary. The villagers rush outside only to find the beautification council led by the best girl. She basically says they either gamble or they forcibly get thrown to the streets. Best girl then leaves the scene and Arukibi's in disbelief, and they head back inside. There, Suzui finds Yumeko, and Inuhachi bleeds everyone's ears out. Murasami comes down and Inuhachi asks to join him. See, Murasami doesn't believe in gambling, but Arukibi forces him by saying his secret of beating that student council once. Then Yumeko declares Suzui as her partner. Mary's looking for a partner too, and the predator known as Kiwatari tries to convince Mary of it. She apologizes to Murasami for spilling his secret, then she leaves. Outside, they're all seen in slow-mo. Welcome to the election. Sayaka oversees this event, and it's a voting contest rock, paper, scissors. Each person will get a random card, having either rock, paper, or scissors. Then, as long as both parties agree, they can battle it out. The winner gets all the cards of the loser. The last pair to get 20 cards qualifies for the next event. This is a co-op game, so partners are allowed to switch each other's cards. The time limit is 10 minutes for the event, so everyone's out to suck the other out of their cards, except apparently for our main squeeze here. These two make quite the lethal pair, as they begin to rake in cards. Meanwhile, Arukibi and Inuhachi catch up too, with Arukibi picking up her slack. Elsewhere, Itsuki already has 15 cards. Amazingly, she's still bribing her opponents. So, Itsuki and her nerd win top spot with 29 cards. Sayaka gives everyone a heads up and says there's 7 minutes left. Suzui's left to watch while Yumeko's just visibly enjoying tea. Suddenly, Mary and Kiwatari win with 25 cards. On the other spectrum of things, Arukibi and Inuhachi win with 20 cards. The watching village celebrates, and Sayaka announces that there's only 3 minutes remaining. The blonde mongrel is at 19 cards. So he asks Suzui to battle him, to which Suzui accepts happily with Yumeko. The blonde guy who looks like my local drug dealer talks smack to Yumeko. Then they have a showdown and turns out she had rock all this time, and the two instantly win with 21 cards in total, which they'll move into the finals. Sayaka then announces another vote gamble. Hey, speak of the devil, it's Murasami. He's remembering his gambling with the student council. If he wins, his older sister will be free from debt and occupational slavery. Murasami catches up to his jumper sister. He tells his sister that she's free, but she jumps anyway. Suddenly, Arukibi breaks in to tell everyone Inuhachi's missing, so the rest of the village looks for her. With that out of the way, let's get right into the main event. Sayaka comes in for the introduction. Yumeko and Suzui versus Itsuki and her nerd. Sayaka then explains the game's rules. Everyone has cards 1 to 7 and a joker. In each round, each person will play 1 card, and whichever team has the highest numeral wins that round. Matching cards will cancel each other out, and the joker can be played as any other card from 1 to 7. First one with 4 round wins will win, but that's not the end of it. The other students have to vote and bet on whoever they think will win. If your vote wins, you'll receive double the cash. Once one team gets to 3 wins, the student will be given a final bet to lock in their final choices. Last thing, the losers get debt of 100 million yen. The winners get 100 million yen. In the finals, the stakes will be heightened, as all values will soar up to 300 million. The match begins and everyone gets their cards. Apparently, Murasami sees things in slow-mo, so he has a solid mental note of where the cards are, even as they're being shuffled. Throwdown 1. Begin, and Murasami wins. Next match, and still, Murasami wins. Throwdown 3 goes to Murasami yet again. Final betting arrives, and Murasami seems to be looking to win the voting too. Mary and Kiwatari panic like imbeciles, while Yumeko deduces that Murasami will end it. Throwdown 4 goes to Murasami again. Time for the grand finale. It's Suzui and Yumeko versus Murasami and Arukibi. First match, ladies and gentlemen, and already Murasami's using his Ultra Instinct BS. Throwdown 1, and Yumeko's dog wins. Yumeko looks to be fully serious with this match against Murasami. Inuhachi has been found. She blames the student council, and possibly just a 1% chance Mary and the gang. Going back to the event that actually matters, the players draw their cards. Sayaka makes them show their cards, and it's actually Suzui's win. Right on cue, Inuhachi goes back to the village and sees that Murasami's taking a massive hit in the votes. Arukibi slowly bursts into tears due to her supposed mistake, but Yumeko actually calls her out on her crummy acting. Yumeko actually deduces it was Arukibi who had Inuhachi kidnapped. Arukibi just wanted Murasami to gamble again, and with that, Arukibi cracks. Karari is barely amused about this. Arukibi just confesses on the day she lost to Karari she'll be her simp. She doesn't admit she used Murasami to just entertain the president. She professes her hate for the village. This sends the audience into a frenzy to vote for Yumeko. And with that intention to lose, Sayaka starts the third round with Murasami outnumbered. Suzui wins. Yawn. He initially celebrates, but even Yumeko's finally getting annoyed with him. The final bet begins. Ah yes, the second best spectacle of the movie. With the appearance of the best girl, Mary actually takes pity and rallies the villagers. Inuhachi gets in on this and the stomping begins once more. Best girl then prepares her troops, but the villagers suddenly rush out. Best girl resorts to beating him with a baton. Then someone saves Mary from being arrested, only for Kiwatari to kick the savior. They did lose, so Mary does keep her promise. Best girl continues to beat people up with a bat, but Inuhachi breaks free. Final bets are finished, and it's also the final round. Throwdown, and Yumeko has the upper hand with the Joker card. But Yumeko's gonna lose on purpose. Suzui doesn't want debt, so he's going against Yumeko now. Throwdown, and the two idiots cancel each other's cards. So Murasami takes another win again. It's the sixth match, and Arukibi wins this round. Final match, and Arukibi cracks again, asking Murasami to save her. Yumeko finally loses it, and they all throw down their last cards. It's a total cancellation for everyone. Sayaka says the remaining round will be settled via popularity match. With the president gone, Murasami wins. Arukibi in total disbelief looks to Yumeko, and she says the village bet over 1 billion yen for Murasami. The village celebrates while Arukibi and Suzui sink into despair. Sayaka gives Murasami the blank life plan sheet and walks out of the scene. Outside, the beautification council's beaten up and we're at the last good scene of this movie. Sometime later, the journalist interviews Sayaka about the results of the gambling election. She says the student council is very pleased. Going back to Yumeko and Suzui, he's reflecting on how they're in debt. Mary suddenly comes in with a delivery. Somewhat a deus ex machina, but this is the secret that Yumeko and Mary kept. Mary basically bet 200 million that Murasami would win. And just like that, they're all free from debt. A totally warranted happy ending. Let us know what you thought in the comments below using that hashtag #CinemaRecap. Remember to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next gamble.